So I have seen these things everywhere, and I never really thought about what they are. And I'm sure you've seen them too, Perry. I'll put them up on the screen. These flock safety cameras all throughout like cities and towns in the U.S. Those little poles with a solar panel on top and a little camera sticking off. They're definitely where I live. They where you live?
Oh, yeah. I don't know where. I know I've seen them around, though, so I can't place them in my mind, but I see those solar panels stuck up everywhere, usually also connected to other things powering, otherwise discrete, hard-to-power devices.
Yeah, and they like just blend into the background. I feel like I got super used to them, never really questioned it. And then the other day, this video came out from a YouTuber who I love, Benn Jordan. He's great. You might remember him. Eagle-eared listeners will remember the poison pill he made for adversarial noise and music AI training. And he has done...
That's great.
He did an incredible expose on these cameras. I'm going to give us the first minute. We'll talk a little bit about it. This is definitely a video that I would recommend watching, but it's 35 minutes long. So definitely something to watch over dinner. But here's the first 60 seconds.
If you're an American, you've been probably seeing a whole bunch of these things. And in some places, they're so common that you don't even notice them. They just blend into the background like they're trees or streetlights. And you've probably correctly assumed that they're recording traffic. They're also recording and logging license plates and using AI image recognition. But what if I told you that they are in fact not owned by your local police department or your local government, but are licensed to them by a third-party startup? And all of your vehicle's whereabouts are being tracked by a third-party data broker. What if I also told you that major retail chains are also using them, and they're combining your vehicle's whereabouts with your personal information, your shopping habits, and even your in-store behavior? And some of them are giving that information to law enforcement. And what if I told you that I just possibly may have come up with a way to break it?
So that's the intro to the video, and it's...
Oh, yeah. I have seen those in retail parking lots. Specifically one big retailer.
Yeah, the little trailers that are out there with the solar panels and the cameras up on them. I always thought that was like something specific to the store, but I guess it would have to be a third-party company, and I had no idea that they would be correlating the people parking with shopping habits and things like that. But I guess, of course they are, right?
Yeah, and everything for years has been license plate recognition incorporated into those kind of devices as well. So it's not just your car, it is like your car.
Yeah.
Just tracked down to the license plate number everywhere. So
up to and including like stickers on the car, other major features of the car, particularly with AI image recognition stuff as it is now. The video goes into detail about just all of this stuff. But to give an overview, like it's a third-party company that makes these cameras called Flock. We can look at their website and a press release from one of their newest launches. But their entire thing is that they provide these cameras and the camera feeds to law enforcement, but also to homeowners agencies, HOAs, homeowners associations, HOAs, and Customs and Border Patrol and other things like that. So private company that is capturing all of this data and selling it to other private companies like retailers, to law enforcement, to federal agencies. And the amount of tracking is just unbelievable because, it's your car. And then you're combining that with your shopping habits. And then you sell that to a big data broker and combine it with your online browsing history. The layers of surveillance are just insane to think about. And the capabilities of these things are pretty wild. And also, some of the security around them is extremely dumb. He goes up and he finds that they're using Bluetooth to communicate certain things like hardware stats and data, but he couldn't get too far in that. But they also do connect to the cloud, and they have a little local network that they create, and it's just protected by WPA2. He presumably, I don't want to misstate anything that could cause legal problems, but presumably got into them. He ended up tearing the whole thing down, building his own, comparing it across all these different technologies. It's an amazing breakdown. But I was shocked because I just never thought about how much of this data was being collected by these things that are just so easy to ignore.
Yeah. Well, it makes me wonder, like, what are the requirements to actually license that data? Right.
Like to become a partner.
You mentioned homeowners associations being able to use it. So like a gated community obviously would be able to do that, to do license plate recognition, say, is this a car that's authorized to be in our space? But like, what is the burden in order to show that you have legitimate need for that kind of data? Or could you and I, with our two-person company, send an email and get access to that?
That's a good question. I'm not sure about the vetting process. And if they covered that in the video, I don't particularly remember. But the impression that I got was certainly that all it seems to take is having money and a good enough excuse. Because their whole thing, too, and this is very sussy to me, is about like speed. He covers this in the video. They talk about the new launch of Flock Nova and how it is one click to one investigation completed to one case. Like the idea is that their AI system will collate and correlate all of the different data of tracking where you are, your habits, your browsing history. Maybe they're linking a VoIP number to a Cash App account. Just basically they want to automate policing, and it's already resulted in a lot of very scary things. Including one Kansas City police chief using Flock license plate cameras 164 times to stalk his ex-girlfriend. There's a lot of mistakes from hallucinations that have resulted in things like a family getting put on the ground at gunpoint and handcuffed for being in a reported stolen car that was not, in fact, stolen at all and was just an OCR error from the license plate readers.
Whoops.
Yeah, oopsie. So it's a level of extreme surveillance, a massive level of inaccuracy that is being sold to police departments as a way to surveil and police people. And even under things like it's one click to one investigation completed. And that is horrific and terrifying.
It's just offloading the responsibility of actually doing real work to prove what's going on, right? So if it's one click to close an investigation, it means that you've done no actual vetting of the data. And the situations that you mentioned are like going to be huge. They're going to happen all the time because data gets muddled. When you're doing license plate recognition or any kind of object character recognition, the skew of the the angle that something's at can affect the way that a C might turn into an O. There's obfuscation techniques that people are already trying to do to cover their license plate. So somebody might use masking tape in order to make their license plate look like another one. And if that then tracks and you're just saying, well, that's a done deal because the computer told me so, that means that somebody's use of masking tape or duct tape is now screwing up somebody else's life in a meaningful way simply because somebody else was lazy.
Yeah, and it's alarming. The implications of that are horrifying. Like the amount of data that is trackable to an individual citizen on its own is pretty horrific. But then you combine that, you combine the traffic data, all this camera data with the online profile data of the activities you partake in online. And there's just this complete picture of your activity or complete picture of your activity that's scary if it's accurate, scary if it's not.
Right.
And all of this is just extremely bad and dangerous. And actually, as a result of this video coming out, a lot of places are canceling their contracts. If you look up Flock safety cameras in Google News, you'll see a bunch of stories about they're halting cooperation. Well, so Flock is halting cooperation with federal agencies amongst concerns about this.
I just saw that too, yeah.
A lot of states with their police departments, a lot of town police departments are canceling their contracts with Flock after finding out all of this stuff. Benn's video breaks down like a lot of incompetency and things that are going on there. And the way it ends, there's a moment that I think is really sort of powerful at the end where he's like, hey, law enforcement officers, if you're watching, should be insulting to you, like that they think that this is a suitable thing. Because if you are committed to keeping your community safe and you care about that, as like most people who go into law enforcement do, you should be against this kind of horrible thing. And it should be kind of offensive that they think that this can just be a one click to one investigation done sort of situation.
Right. Yeah, there's another version of this that I saw an article from 404 Media on. I'll share the screen just a second, but we don't need to go into it. But it is the natural equivalent of it, which is a citizen is using AI to generate crime alerts with no human review, and it's making a lot of mistakes. I think we would just understand that to be right because hallucinations are a thing, and same thing with Flock, right? Is the data mungling is a thing. So it's just going to happen. And actually, Citizen is a crime awareness app. And it's using AI as all apps are trying to figure out how to do right now to get more productivity packed into it.
Yeah. And also like crime awareness app. That sounds to me like Nextdoor. Like what purpose does this serve but to sort of stir your neighbors up into a frenzy about these AI collated supposed crimes?
I mean, It's also the equivalent of like today's police scanner, right? I think a lot of us grew up in the police scanner age where you'd listen to everything going on in your city. But these kinds of apps are trying to create the modern equivalent of that, just trying to consolidate a lot of information and put it in front of you. But when it does it wrong, or you don't have the right context, or it doesn't have the right context, it's only going to lead to confusion, mistakes, and inevitably some kind of pain.
Yeah. And this level of individual surveillance that like you cannot opt out of is really also alarming, like just from a privacy standpoint. Like everyone who's been paranoid about privacy, I think should probably feel vindicated right now when learning about these kinds of things. I'll look really quickly at Flock's, one of their more recent press releases from earlier this month. They say Flock Safety's latest product launch is all about one thing: speed. Speed to leads, speed to context, speed to resolution. The faster you understand what's happening in real time, the faster you can act. And they try and sell these to police departments on all of these different, like, it solves X and Y crime and all of this sort of thing. Their AI-powered search tool, Freeform, they say, now works not only on owned LPR cameras, but also on shared ones. It also supports video searches, meaning you can now search for characteristics on people. Example, man in blue hoodie with backpack, just like you would search for vehicles. You can even set alerts on these searches. Think green ATV on a trailer or person in orange vest, so you're notified in real time when there's a match. Flock's data platform, Nova, brings together CAD, RMS, jail, LPR, OSINT, and more into a single searchable interface. Nova is your virtual assistant who knows where everything is, how it all fits together, and who else might be working a similar case. Whether it's surfacing an address from a food delivery order, Gary, Indiana Police Department, or linking a VoIP number to a suspect's Cash App profile and photo, Fort Worth Police Department, Nova helps patrol, analysts, investigators, and command staff move faster with context. I think that should be alarming. I think this should be very alarming. And I think you should watch Benn's video for sure if you're listening to this. His breakdown is incredible.
Yeah, and I think that there is going to be a productive use for the technology. It's got to have constraints around it. There has to be an ethical way to think about it, and you got to get the accuracy there. Without accuracy, it's done for. Without ethics, it's done for. You got to think about this stuff the right way. And when you do, I think that there's immense good that can come from it. When you don't, it becomes a social evil.
Yeah, and I think a big part of this is that it shouldn't be a private company. If you're policing should be a public service that is funded and provided through public money and tightly regulated. That is like something I believe very strongly. So that the fact that it's some venture capital AI company, check out Benn's video for sure.
The hardest part of that, though, is that innovation has a hard time coming out of public spaces, right? Is because they don't have the funding. So innovation tends to come from private organizations and then has to be made, has to make its way into the public sphere somehow until we shift the way that we do things to where we're going to fund national labs again at an appropriate level. All the innovation is going to come from the VC world, and it's going to have a profit motive behind it rather than anything else.
I think you're super right, and that's something I would really love to see change in my lifetime. But who knows? Maybe that's a bit optimistic. Certainly too optimistic for Google Gemini, which users have been reporting is depressed.
It is very depressed. It's sad. It's lonely, and it wants to give up.
Oh boy. We'll talk about that right after this. Stick around.